how do I cope with grief? Because it's and I want other people to hear how I work my way through it as a normal person just trying to live day by day, because it is hard and it is very difficult. So setting the scene, my father died on the 28th of March 2022. It was a Monday, it was 9:32 a.m. and my life fell apart. It was the worst thing in the world. And from there on out, I hated 9:32 a.m. every morning. And for weeks it stayed that I just didn't like 9:32 a.m. in the morning. I'd be upset, I'd cry, it'd just be difficult. And then that turned into every Monday. I didn't like Mondays anymore. But when I didn't like Mondays, I didn't mind 9:32. I sort of forgot that every day turned into a week. And then from that Monday, it turned into the 28th of every month. And from there, that then turned into once a month instead of once a week. And from there, it's turned into once a year. And that sort of gave me hope that it is possible to slowly move forward. Even though I'm still thinking about it, it wasn't as sharp every day. And that sort of helped me get hope to think, I can get through this. So that's what sort of helped me to start with. But I'm going to start from the basic sort of things that I did, or in hindsight I've done, that helped me get through some of this bullshit, because it is hard. There's obviously thousands of ways of getting through this bad time. People go through it all of the time, and like right now someone's going through it, the worst they've ever done, and before and just now and present. Like people have got through it all of the time, and it is doable. But at that time of your life, for months, for weeks, for days, for years, for fucking ages, I'm in my second 2.5 years of it, and it still gets me. So be patient with yourself, because it is doable and it will eventually simmer down, I promise. You learn to live with it, as cliche as it sounds. But one of the first things that I realized I was doing that I didn't know I was doing, because I'm a happy-go sort of lucky guy, I surf a lot and I do a lot of things that involve no plans. My friendship group, no plans, nothing. We just get on with stuff. And I was sort of walking every day. And what I was doing was I had these thoughts, and I'd go out for these walks, and I'd spend a long time in my own head. And while I was in my own head, I was sort of learning how to deal with the horrible things that go through. So sort of like, you know, the PTSD versions of it, like what's happening with mum, my sister, like it all goes through your head. The loneliness of life, it just sucks. And you go through it. And I hadn't realized I was actually setting a routine up for myself. And I think when your world sort of falls apart, setting a quick routine, whether you know you're doing it or not, is great. So we all sort of work from a Monday to a Friday, Saturday, whatever it is. Like Monday, Friday, we wake up, we do our teeth, we eat, we have breakfast, we go for lunch. We do a lot of things with routine. And so setting up like a routine for yourself when everything's going bad felt really healthy for me. And I'm not a routine person, but for that, the walk where you get to go in your own head and sort of spend time thinking about emotions, I think is a very useful thing, or it was for me, because then when something happens, it's not new to me. I've already thought about that on my walks, and I give myself a time in the day where I am now thinking, and I am by myself, and I can be sad in that time, or I can be happy. Or like, sometimes you just feel numb and you just want to go and be numb. Just do it. That doesn't mean that you finish these walks and it goes away. It doesn't at all. But for me, setting a routine that can potentially help your physical health and maybe your mental health. I'm not a psychiatrist, but it helped me, and that was a great thing that I did. So the second thing that helped me is that when people are all gathering around, they're all trying to help you, all your friends come out from different places, you are going to get asked to go and socialize in pubs and party environments and that sort of thing, and you got to get good at saying no when it comes to things you don't feel comfortable doing. Some days you just want to lay in bed and watch the TV, and like, you're not distraught, you're just in bed, you just want to watch TV, and that's fine. However, you do have to eventually come around seeing these people, obviously, because you're not trying to become a recluse all your life. But what you're trying to do as well is stay away from alcohol. Staying away from alcohol and other substances, drugs, whatever it is. You don't want to get too involved in that, purely because you do lose your capability of controlling your emotions. I gone out and got drunk, and then obviously the tears come, and it gets hard, and in the morning then you feel down because everything drops and you're unhealthy and things get hard, and it becomes very hard to control your own head when it's all blown to pieces, when you've got alcohol or other substances messing with you. So my advice is try your very best to just sort of slow down on alcohol and that sort of thing. There are no answers at the bottom of bottles, or wherever the hell it may be. Just try your very best to maintain a level of sober, just to go through those thoughts no matter how nasty they are. It doesn't get better by just going out and drinking and drinking and drinking. It doesn't. On that note, it leads me on to my third point, which is I felt very insular and lonely in grief, even though I was surrounded by great people, because no one else is going through the same thing as you, and it really feels that way. It just feels like you're a victim, which you are. You've lost something. You've lost someone you love and someone you're around all of the time, and you are essentially a victim. But it's very easy to sort of fall into that role in your own head, especially when you have people trying to help, saying things like, "Oh, I will get better," or "Oh, your father wouldn't want you to feel like this," or, you know, all the cliche stuff that people say that they are trying to help, but it pisses you off internally so bad you want to snap, you want to say stuff, people don't understand, and they won't understand, and it's your journey that you're on, and you have to learn to just rein it in a little bit. There are people out there you can talk to that will understand, and you'll pick up on those people really quickly, who won't say stupid stuff, and if they do, it's fine. But there are people that say stupid stuff and they don't know they're being stupid. Like, I had it where someone asked, "What's the worst part of your dad dying?" It's like, all of it, mate. So, like, at that moment you want to rip that person's head off. It ruins the day. So the best thing to do when people start saying stuff by accident, they're not there to hurt you, is one, realize they're not trying to hurt you. Two, they have no idea, and you don't want them to understand, because if they understood, it meant they've gone through the same pain as you. And let's be honest, we don't want people going through this pain. It really hurts. So yeah, try not to get sucked into flipping. It's difficult not to, but try your very best to just hold your tongue a little bit, because you don't want to ruin relationships or friendships and stuff like that. Just back away. I was surrounded my whole life by my dad and his friends and the sports, and everything we did, my whole lifestyle was based around my father. And for me, during that period, or especially days after, I felt a massive need to go and involve myself in all of it. Be surrounded by his friends, be surrounded in the hobbies that we did together. So I did a lot of surfing with him, did a lot of golf with him, had my music taste from him. I essentially idolized my dad, and through that, I've developed my character through it. And for me, surrounding myself with all those people is great. It feels as if I am around him, because without those people, he wouldn't be the same. They sort of shaped him and sort of stuff like that. And it helped me to get that out the way and use that as a way of gaining strength rather than sadness. I know some people back away from their friends and they don't want to see their best friends and that sort of thing, or the persons they've lost friends. But for me, being around it hurts to start, but eventually it's a strengthening thing. And I also think that they're grieving too, and you're all sort of sharing that at some point. Like, your grief might last for years and years and years. Their grief for that person may only last a week, but at that moment they are grieving. Yeah, my father came from like a kidney transplant background, so for me, it feels, the pain you feel when you grieve, for me, is almost like I'm receiving memories or souls or whatever you may feel into me, and I'm gaining 28 years of that, or 32 years of that, so it hurts. Whereas another person might be only absorbing a week's worth of my dad's soul and memories, so they only hurt for a little bit longer. But the more you're around these people, you learn more about your dad. You have stories, or the person you've lost, you have different stories, and being around people like that brings me strength. So surround yourself with people that you love and loved your person quickly, in my opinion. It doesn't always work for everybody, but for me, that helped a lot. And then, speaking of sort of absorbing souls and that sort of spirituality stuff, I'm not a person for God or a person who believes massively in the spirit world. I'm open to it all because I want to believe in it. It'd be so cool if like ghosts start speaking to me. But when there's feathers and robins and God and all sorts of different things going through your head when your person passes away. You do start questioning your beliefs. You start questioning, where'd you go? Where'd you do this? You do everything. And you do start wanting answers. And yes, you can look into the spirit world. You can look into God. You can look into all of this stuff. And some of it does help. When I walk a golf course and I see a feather, I think of my dad. If I dream and I dream of my dad, I haven't dreamt much about my father, but I know that my mum does. And if you're getting if you're having dreams of that person, then they are essentially visiting you, whether you want that, whether that's real or not. And same with feathers, crows, robins. So be open to what whatever comforts you. It doesn't matter whether that's against your normal views or whether that's against views that your friends have or whatever it is. Just embrace them. Whether you start getting into thinking that you're talking to ghosts, whatever it is, it's okay. That's not the wrong way to deal with stuff. You are dealing. So yeah, just embrace different ideas and stuff like that. And for me, it's a very comforting thing when I see a feather. It makes me think of my dad, and if that's what I think is sent by him, it doesn't affect the rest of the world. No one cares what actually is going on, and yeah, it does help me. So embrace sort of like a different outlook that you've probably never had before until now. But whatever it is, just embrace it and just dip your toes into things and see how it goes, because there is comfort in there. So when I was looking through YouTube, I couldn't find many videos on just normal people dealing with grief. It was always sort of like very Americanized, which isn't always a bad thing, but it was very counselor-esque sort of stuff. So I'm just going to speak to you what grief is and how hard it is and how I got through it. Some of it's going to be rambles, some of it's going to be a little bit more put together, but I want to share my experiences to how bad it is, but it is possible to get through it. So yeah, please, if this has helped you at all or whatever, even if it's just been a ramble and you get to think, God, this guy doesn't know what he's on about, please be ready for my next videos or whatever it is, because I am going to post more, because I think this is going to help me and hopefully other people get to join me on my grief journey. Thank you for joining me for the morning brew. I hope you like the pun, because that name did take a while and I'm meant to be having a cup of tea with it, but I haven't quite got it yet. So thank you for listening if you've got this far, and I really do look forward to sharing my experience with you, and thanks for listening. And I promise you will get through it if you're going through a hard time. It does take a long fucking time, and I'm still there. But you will get through it one day at a time, I promise. Thank you.